Thank you very much, Jala, and thank you, friends, for such a warm welcome to Monash. Can I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land and pay my deep personal respects to elders past and present, and thank Auntie Zita for her welcome to country. I make that acknowledgement with a real sense of pride as a Victorian, and this is the first occasion that I've been with my good friend, the Prime Minister of Australia, following his announcement about a voice, and it is with considerable pride to know that we, not just as a state but as a nation, are taking big steps, bold steps, towards truth, justice, voice and treaty. That's something we can all be very, very proud of. Thank you very much, Auntie Zita. That's probably the best way that I can acknowledge the Prime Minister, but it is great to have him here at Monash and have him back in Melbourne. I won't go through the full list. Ministerial and parliamentary colleagues, why don't I do it that way? But can I, of course, thank Professor Margaret Gardner, the Vice-Chancellor of Monash, and Simon McKeon, the Chancellor, and the many other partners that are here, chief among them, Michael Azrak, the General Manager of Moderna, Australia, New Zealand. Ladies and gentlemen, universities like this one are fundamentally communities of learning. They're about people coming together to share expertise, to grow, to be bold, to make big discoveries, both for themselves and for all of us. But increasingly, and really importantly, they're becoming much more than that. And to a certain extent, they've always been about more than that. Not just pure knowledge, not just about understanding, not just about the accumulation of wisdom, as important as that is, but about the translation of that knowledge into products and services, into jobs, into opportunities, into prosperity. From the laboratory to the factory, from the bench to the bedside. All of that journey is about empowerment, wonderment in many ways. It's about taking care of people. It's about improving standards of living, and it's also about creating a lot of jobs. And we know that that's critically important. Our partnership between Moderna, Australia and New Zealand, as well as the federal government and our government, is truly unique. This new facility, and we will use the standard unit of measurement in Melbourne, 1.5 mcgs big, 1,000 jobs, 500 in construction alone, the only facility of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, nothing like this outside North America, is such a vote of confidence in our city and our state. When we think about great science, we think about London and Oxford, we think about Boston, and we think about Melbourne. And that is should be, and I know it is, for this audience particularly, a great source of pride. We do this so much better than so many others, and it's great to be recognised not just for pure science, as important as that is, but for the application and that pathway, that process to turn amazing knowledge into products that will give us the sovereign capability against things like a pandemic and other respiratory conditions. And then the unknown, whether there might be massive steps forward, really impactful change in personalised medicine for cancer, in things like cystic fibrosis care. The list goes on and on. This is a great day for what we know it will achieve. It's even better and even more important for those unknowns. We often talk about ecosystems when we talk about science and technology, advanced manufacturing, when we talk about health tech. Ecosystems matter. Critical mass is critically important. This is such an important day for our state, for our nation, and indeed for the world. And we are delighted, absolutely delighted, to have been able to secure this facility. At all of our universities are first class, but I have a soft spot for this university for a number of reasons. I'm often described having had, when I was here, I was a very poor student. When I come back, I am a favourite son. So it is it's my own journey. It's very good to be here. Can I thank the Prime Minister? Can I thank his team? Can I thank Moderna? Can I particularly thank Jala Pulford, who has led our government's efforts in this regard. Michael Capel is also here, who heads up mRNA Victoria. This is a really, really important day and one that we are proud to have played our part in delivering. And I can't think of a better place than Monash University in these brilliant southeastern suburbs to be the centre of mRNA technology, research, product development and possibility. Thanks so very much.
Thank you, Premier. If I could now invite to the stage the Prime Minister of Australia.
Well, thanks very much, Charla, and can I thank Aunty Zita for the welcome to country and also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and on behalf of the government that I'm proud to lead, recommit to the implementation of the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full, with your support, it must be said. Can I acknowledge my friend and Monash graduate, the Premier of Victoria. I know what it's like to get welcomed back with a different welcome. At Sydney University, I was suspended when I was there for various political activities. Now I'm a hero as well. So I can very much relate to that. Can I acknowledge particularly my ministerial colleagues who are here, because it says something about the importance and the direction, both the Health Minister, Mark Butler, but the Science and Industry Minister, Ed Husick, as well. Other ministerial and parliamentary colleagues who are here, including the newly elected member for Chisholm, Karina Garland, as well. It's particularly good to see you here, given 77 was a magic number for me, so every single one counted. And can I acknowledge, of course, Margaret Gardner and others from Monash University, and Michael, who's here as well, of course, from Moderna. Look, this is a really exciting day. It's an exciting day because of what it presents going forward, of the production of mRNA vaccines here, but also for what it says about Australia and the possibilities which are there. When we were upstairs, we were meeting the hundreds of PhD students who are here, and one in particular stood out to me, was the person who'd come back to Australia from the United States. That's what we need to do. We need a future made in Australia. That's something I spoke about a lot during the election campaign. There are a range of lessons from the pandemic, but one of them is we need to be more resilient and more self-reliant. We need to make more things here. We can't continue to assume that it's okay to be at the end of global supply chains, because we know that what COVID represented, of course, was a massive global disruption to those supply chains, and that Australia has become, I think, particularly vulnerable. We've become complacent for a long period of time that it was okay for us to just meander along. It's not. We need to make sure that we commercialise our science and extract full benefit for our nation. Not just for ourselves in some narrow nationalistic sense, but because of the sort of country that we are as well. Because in this part of the world, in the fastest growing region of the world in human history, we have an opportunity to project that capacity into the Indo-Pacific as well. So this is an issue which isn't just about health, it's not just about science, it's also about national security. It's about us being able to stand up for ourselves going forward, and I think that's particularly important. And I do want to single out, I'll get into trouble no doubt in a Sydney newspaper, but Victoria and the leadership that Victoria is showing in this area under Premier Andrews and his government is quite extraordinary. The last time I was in Victoria, we were opening a new hospital looking at cancer. Every time I come to Victoria, it seems there's something that is science or health or innovative related, and that is a big plus, because that is very much the future of how we will be able to go forward. So to all involved with this, I say congratulations to Monash University, but also a big thank you to Moderna as well. This is a show of faith in Australia, in our nation, for Moderna to locate themselves here. You have lots of options, but you've chosen here in Australia. And on behalf of the Australian Government, I'm very pleased that you have done so. And I'd now ask Margaret Gardner, the Vice-Chancellor, to make some comments as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Can I also thank Auntie Zita for that welcome to country, and also acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations on whose lands we're meeting, and their elders past, present and emerging. I couldn't be more thrilled. I couldn't be more thrilled to be standing here for these short minutes behind the speeches that were given by the Premier and the Prime Minister to have that endorsement of the importance and engagement of knowledge, its discovery and its translation, and the way it works to build the well-being of our community. We're absolutely delighted that Moderna is building its first mRNA production facility in the Southern Hemisphere right here at Clayton, and in the heart of what is Victoria's largest research and innovation precinct, the Monash Technology Precinct, in a state that is committed to that innovation, in a country that is looking to the future that will come from these innovations. The facility will secure the production of mRNA vaccines on Australian shores, ensuring the security of which the Prime Minister spoke. The significance of this development, we hope, provides not just the trust but also the promise of the quality of research from Monash and other universities and institutes, and ability to combine with industry capability to solve complex global challenges. So we're all better off. This will be the world's first mRNA production facility to be located on a university campus, and that is so important for that signal it sends. We know that Monash is world-class, at the cutting edge of mRNA and RNA therapeutics development, from discovery through to translation. Today's announcement complements the whole RNA ecosystem for Monash and the state. We know that there'll be groundbreaking work that will lead to the rapid development of life-saving vaccines and therapeutic treatments for infectious diseases and cancers. And we have an example of that already underway, again supported by government, the development of an mRNA vaccine candidate, which is in phase 1 clinical trials with the Doherty Institute. Another example of what can be done. Moderna is world-class, and we believe we'll be joining world-class specialists from across the university and research sector, and will demonstrate what really collaborative work can do. In addition to the Moderna manufacturing site, Monash is partnering with the Victorian Government to establish the Monash Centre for Advanced mRNA Medicines Manufacturing and Workforce Training, because this is about capability on every front. Locating both the mRNA production facility and the training centre within the Monash Technology Precincts means they're close to other world-leading facilities. I invite people to come and just walk and have a look. The CSIRO, the Australian synchrotron, our new radiopharmaceutical cyclotron doing radioisotopes, the Victorian Heart Hospital about to be opened, the Melbourne Centre for Nanofabrication. This is a jewel of a place in terms of the facilities that are available. The possibilities are truly only our imagination and our determination. As part of the precinct, Monash will be surrounded by state-of-the-art research, commercialisation and development opportunities, and we really thank Moderna for being part of that development. I'd like to say that this brings two critical elements of an mRNA innovation ecosystem together, and that means long-term benefits. I'd like to extend a lot of thanks, and there are a lot of people to thank, and they come in two broad groups. There are the people who we've engaged with to get to this point, and I want to thank the Moderna team, particularly the General Manager of Australia, Michael Azrak, because that's the beginning of a relationship and we hope it will go on in development. I want to thank the team at mRNA Victoria, led by Michael Capel. We had to get here, and I want to thank Simon Femister and the department and the Minister, because we had to get here. I want to thank the support of the Victorian and federal governments, because without their support for this endeavour, it wouldn't be here. And I can't begin to say how much this is, in that sense, a truly community endeavour, because that's what the government's doing, speaking for the community. I want to thank my own guys, the team at Monash, along with all the other people in Moderna and the Victorian government who worked every hour that was possible and all the hours that weren't possible. And so I want to thank the COO, Peter Marshall, the DVC Enterprise and Engagement, Daron Ben-Meyer. There's a lot of people to thank: Rod Ballantyne, Julianne Wontrop, external counsel, very important, Alison Kennedy. And I want to say that that was to get there. But then there's what made it so exciting and what will happen next. And I want to really thank our talented teams, in particular at the Monash Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, the Faculty of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences, for the extraordinary work that shows what's possible. And they're not the only people who will contribute, because there's researchers from across the spectrum, not just at Monash but elsewhere, that will contribute. And I want to say that without those brilliant academics, we don't get those next ideas. But without all this support and this collaboration, we don't get anything happening. So thank you. On behalf of Monash, I give absolutely sincere thanks for all of you who've joined us here this morning, because this is truly a celebration of what's possible in the future, and I look forward with eager anticipation to what comes next, because it will truly be significant. I'd now like to welcome Mr. Michael Azrak, General Manager of Moderna Australia and New Zealand, on stage to say a few words.
I'd like to start by thanking Auntie Zeta for that very touching welcome to country, and also paying my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we feel really privileged to be on the land of the Kulin Nation into the future. My thanks to the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Vice-Chancellor, all our distinguished guests and all of you here for celebrating such a significant milestone. I'm so proud, and Moderna is so proud, to have selected Monash as the site of our mRNA manufacturing facility. We actually thank you. We've been thanked many times, because I could not think of a better facility or university to base our facility. When I first came, I've only been with Moderna for about 10 months, and I've spent my entire 10 months finalising this deal, I can tell you. I'll show you the scars on my back later, or my wife will tell you that. But I met with the scientific community, the first thing that I did, and it was a no-brainer. We had to be based here at Monash, and we've invested all our time to make sure that we can be here. We started with only what's called a drug substance facility, so that's the facility that will actually make the mRNA molecule, and that's what Moderna's building in most other jurisdictions. And then we just said, why don't we build a fully integrated facility here, which makes drug substance, and we'll do the full fill finish, which meant we're doubling the size of the building. So what you're actually seeing on those photos is only half of what's actually going to be here. And then that caused a problem, because it meant the site was getting a little bit tight, but we all worked around the clock to make sure it could happen, and we're finally here, and it's a reality. and it's going to be state-of-the-art. Moderna is renowned globally as a pioneer of mRNA science, and we're committed to bringing the best of Moderna to Monash, to Victoria and to Australia. And as part of that commitment, Moderna will be establishing a regional research centre for respiratory medicine and tropical disease, collaborating with research institutions across Australia to advance mRNA science, investing in workforce skills and development programs, which is going to be so important because science has never moved faster than it's moving today, and launching an Australian mRNA fellowship program which will enable our best and our brightest to go overseas to work with the greatest scientists and to continue to come back, and obviously conducting clinical trials across Australia. And that's something I'm really excited about. In under 6 months alone, Moderna has already entered into 3 research collaborations with leading institutions in Australia, and there's a 4th that's going to be announced very, very shortly. And I was just told last week that 2 of our leading scientists from those institutions were actually in Moderna's labs in Boston on Friday, sharing and cross-fertilising ideas with our scientists. That is so exciting, and that was the vision that I had and the commitment that our CEO Stefan Bancel made to me when he said, Michael, we're only building where there's good science. And I said, there is great science, not good, great science here in Australia and here in Melbourne. And I'm super excited, as is the entire Moderna team, and we're honoured and privileged to be on the land here in Monash. And this is really just the end of the beginning, and we're really looking forward to starting, digging ground, and getting the facility up and running. With that, I'm going to show you a very brief video of what the facility will be looking like. Bear in mind, 85% of the facility is glass, fully transparent. So as you're looking at that, Minister Pulford had the opportunity to see our facility. This one's even better than what you saw in Boston, Mr. Pulford. I promise you that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you, Michael, for sharing with us also those images of what this extraordinary and state-of-the-art facility will be like. Could I now invite to the stage the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Vice-Chancellor and Michael Azrak. for the formal signing of agreements between the Commonwealth, Victoria, Moderna and Monash University. Great. Thank you. This brings to a conclusion our formalities for today's events. If I could again thank all of our distinguished guests. Each and every person in this room has undertaken an extraordinary part of this journey and what it is that we're able to announce today. And so if I could express my gratitude and heartfelt appreciation for everyone who has worked so hard and tirelessly on this. It's a very, very proud day and a very, very exciting day. But if I could particularly thank our team at mRNA Victoria, led so ably by Michael Capel, and our scientific advisory group, led by our chief scientist, Dr. Amanda Capel, for the work that they have undertaken through this journey. This establishes Victoria as Australia's leading hub for mRNA vaccine and therapeutic development and manufacture, and Monash becomes the first university in the world to host an mRNA vaccine facility. Today is just the beginning. Thank you so much for joining us, for being here. The future research and development, innovation and next generation manufacturing opportunities for Victoria